Oh, hamstring. Up. Sniper, take the other picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can formulate opinions without having true facts.
I'm telling you, think about it logically for just a second.
Dear Reds fans,
welcome back to the Zebra Zillionaires. It was a tough one yesterday.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
how you doing? I hope that your Monday morning is going to be better than your Friday morning if you're a golf fan. We'll get to that in a minute, but I decided to stay up. I decided to stay up for at least 2:30 in the morning. Then I went to bed. Then I tried to get myself back up. And then I found out that what I had seen when I went to bed wasn't even all that bad. It actually had gotten worse. For those that obviously watch the Ryder Cup, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't care about golf, then maybe it's a pleasant, good Friday morning to you. I'm Trace Fowler. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers, and I need as much coffee as humanly possible. I guess we'll start in Major League Baseball. The Cincinnati Reds, they were off yesterday, but that didn't mean there wasn't anything to pay attention to. We're in a position now where other teams control their own destiny, and the Cubs used to be one of those teams. They were trying to avoid a sweep against Major League's best baseball team, the Atlanta Braves, and the Marlins were trying to beat a team from New York called the Metropolitans, and that game actually didn't even end. Let's start in Atlanta. David Ross and Zach Johnson are doing it. They're fighting it out, seeing who can lay the biggest egg. Looked like it wasn't going to go the Reds' way because the Cubs jumped out to a 1-0 lead, but that was before the Braves would answer right back. Matt Olson, bottom half of the first, made it 2-1 with a home run. The Braves controlled the rest of the way. They'd win 5-3. They would finish off a sweep of the Chicago Cubs, who are pretty much in a free fall. The Cubs were 76-64 with a 92% chance to make the postseason on September 6th. I think I had remembered a colleague of mine saying, "Oh, we ain't worried about the wild card. I ain't worried about the wild card. We're going to go win the division." That's what our main focus is. I mean, yeah, the Reds, I get it. They want to make the wild card, but we're going to win the division. Today, the Cubs, 82-77. Less than a 20% chance to play in October. You hate to see it. Now let's go to the Marlins, a team that, quite frankly, I had given up on. I didn't think that they had what it took. But they played good baseball of late. The Mets and the Marlins, they were deadlocked at 0 until the bottom of the 8th inning. Ortega would hit an RBI base hit. That would give the Mets a 1-0 lead, and the Cubs and the Reds, and I guess maybe the Diamondbacks, and I don't know if they pay attention in San Diego still, but maybe they were all hoping that they could hold that 1-0 lead, and sure enough, the Mets would blow it in the top of the 9th. Jazz Chisholm would double off the top of the wall. That would give the Marlins a 2-1 lead, but then the rain came, and it came, and it continued to come. The play would then get suspended. This is where on Twitter, x.com, whatever term you'd like to use, it was just all over the place. We got people disagreeing on what the rule book says and what 401.5 AB means, all that stupid stuff. Listen, I mean, can we all be honest with ourselves for a half a second? If you think for just a little bit, thinks to yourself that the Mets should automatically win that game in a situation that we're in right now, I got to be honest. If that was the Reds playing up in New York, we would all be beside ourselves if there was people considering for a half a second that the game should revert back to the last full inning of play when you just took the lead. Fortunately for the Marlins, the rule states that the game is suspended if the away team takes the lead or ties the game. So we'll see. I'm guessing that Major League Baseball at this point is going to force them to come back and play on Monday, if necessary. And the only way that's really going to be necessary is if the Cubs can find a way to win the series against the Brewers. I got something in my eye there. Or maybe the Diamondbacks find a way to get swept. Or somehow the Marlins just don't take care of business against the Pittsburgh Pirates. But let's face it, the Marlins are the team that more than likely is going to take that third and final wild card spot. That is unless the Diamondbacks, of course, get swept. So as you head into this weekend, I'm sure we'll talk about the scenarios going forward. But really, there's two prayers if you want to send up to the heavens as a Reds fan. One is that the Diamondbacks go to Houston, and Houston has a lot to play for. The Diamondbacks find themselves where they get swept, and the Reds sweep, which seems like the most toughest task, if we're being honest. I know that it's the Cardinals, but that's where we're at. And maybe the Pirates do get swept and they have to go back to New York to play. We shall find out. There was football yesterday. Yes, there was. Unfortunately, as Packer fans, it looked like a good start for the Green Bay Packers. They'd intercept Jared Goff. They get the ball in their own side of the field. But unfortunately, that only got held to a field goal. And that pretty much was the only positive thing that happened for Green Bay for quite some time. Lions dominated from the start to finish, leading 14-3 after the first quarter, 27-3 at the half. Lions would go on to win 34-20. Dan Campbell appears to have the Lions in very good hands. They got good offensive line. They have a good defensive line. The Lions are a good football team. They just are. Now, whether or not they're an elite football team, I don't know. But I'm certainly going to put them in the category of good. Very good. Maybe even very good. Maybe very good. We'll find out how far the Lions go. But they're not the Lions of old. Maybe this will be the year where the dead franchises come to life. You got the Lions. You got the Browns. Browns got an opportunity to make a statement this week as well. They face the Ravens. And we'll see what happens. And we'll see what we all pick. Because we have picks today. The Ryder Cup, I talked about it a little bit there at the top of the show, didn't I? You know, they haven't won overseas in 30 years. Do you realize, how hard that is? You realize how many times you have to go over there and lose to make it 30 years? 15 times. If you were, it says on the script, Elliot put, if you had the fortitude to wake up at 2 a.m., if you were a dumbass like me and just stayed up till 2 a.m., you'd realize that Zach Johnson and the crew didn't know, they didn't realize the whole thing started. Team Europe, who played relatively well. I'm not suggesting for a half a second they didn't, but they played relatively well. But there's been some Americans that absolutely what the bed. Keeping it a kid show as much as I can. They swept the morning 4-0. Right now, Terrell Hatton and Victor Hovland are all square with JT and Jordan Spieth. Rahm and Hogard are one up on Koepka and Scheffler. Rose and McIntyre are one down on the Americans Homa and Clark. And unbelievably, McIlroy and Fitzpatrick are 6 up through 8 on Morikawa and Schauffele. 6 up through 8. Now, Matt Fitzpatrick was just going, I don't know what the right term is, but wild, crazy, en fuego. I mean, I think the kid made 5 birdies and an eagle to start. So, sometimes it matters what your opponent does as much as it matters what you do. And unfortunately for the Americans, the Europeans are just whipping their ass once again. Is it all for naught? No. As a reminder, there's 28 points available. There was only 4 points that happened this morning. currently as it stands, the Americans still have a chance, although it's probably a slim one, to win 3 points in the afternoon session. It's a little confusing with the overseas, but it is the afternoon over in Italy. Fellas, I don't know where to start. I know ultimately Reed Mouse is probably still down in the dumps, and unfortunately for you, I think that you can just join the bandwagon that is Reds fans and just jump on and get ready to watch a lot of football in the near and upcoming weeks and just try to forget a little bit about how the season went, and then all of a sudden, maybe back in December, you can appreciate what you ultimately watched. Reed, how you feeling?
I feel good. Hi, my name's Reed Mouse. I'm 27 years old. My family, everyone asking me if I'm down in the dumps. I'm not down in the dumps whatsoever because my older brother Matthew welcomed a lovely girl into the family. It's my first niece, so I'm very excited. After the show, I'll go down and meet Brooklyn Ray. But Brooklyn Ray Mouse, congratulations on coming to the world. Congratulations on my brother and his lovely wife, Alex. So I'm really excited to go meet them. I also have a bachelor party. If you're going to the Bengals game this Sunday, send me a DM on Twitter. Let's meet up. Let's go do it. But as for the Cubs, you mentioned a good point. You said this might be the year that dead franchises finally come alive, and that's clearly the case because the Reds had a good season. The Marlins are playoff bound, and here they are. The Cubs, I mean, they do what the Cubs do. I mean, if you're not accustomed to this as a Cubs fan, I don't know what to tell you. Being a Cubs fan, I've been a Cubs fan for 20 years now. It's been fun for about 7 days in that 20 years. So, Elliot, how are you? Nice haircut. You look good.
Thanks, Reed. And those 7 days were better than any days that I've had as a Reds fan. So congratulations to you. It was great last night. I was watching this is the most Cubs baseball I've ever watched in my entire life. My dad and I have been just powering through these Cubs games. So that was fun. I got to see the Cubs lose, respectfully to Reed, of course. I didn't watch it with disrespect. I watched it with a heavy heart.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
It was bittersweet, but mostly sweet. The Cubs they just didn't show up. They didn't show up in Atlanta. That sucks. Atlanta's just far better than everybody else in the league. They're going to win a World Series, so no harm, no foul there. Reds not going to make the playoffs. That's okay. I thought there was a chance when the Mets took the lead 1-0 last night. I did my best. I bet on the Marlins. I did everything I could. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I did everything I could. I'm going to try to do it today. I'm going to put some Zebrazillionaires all over the place. I'm going to jinx the Cubs, Diamondbacks, and Marlins to their defeats, to their losses. I'm going to do my part. Ride the Zebrazillionaires. The more money we have on this, the better chance that we have to lose, or they have to lose. So that's going to be good. Other than that, football last night, Amazon Football. Amazon needs to get rid of the
Prime's terrible.
They need to get rid of the football broadcast. I can't do it anymore. Amazon Football, with the lags and the horrible stream, the whole setup's abysmal. It's disgraceful. Nobody wants to watch it. Put it on NBC and call it a day. I'm tired of it. But I'm great. Last night, I put all my money on every single foursome for Team Europe. So every twosome that played last night, I won a lot of money when I woke up this morning.
Hell
That
yeah.
was great. That was
Did you really?
phenomenal.
You genuinely did that?
Oh, I can show you the receipts. But and again, that's only because I try to reverse jinx the U.S. into wins or my teams into wins. And more than not, my teams just lose. Everything that I cheer for loses and dies. So I'll just make money off it. If I'm going to be sad and I don't get to be happy watching sports, I'm going to make money off it. So that's what I did last night. I bet on all 4 European teams won money. Every single one. I had Europe to win the day. I had Rom.
Well, that's usually what happens when they win 4-0.
Well, yeah, I was doing whole bets. I bet on John Rahm and them to win like every single hole. Ton of money. I was just winning money left and right. I'm not going to lie. It was probably the most profitable night I've had in 3 months. But it was great. Other than that, I'm great. It's happy to be here. It's really wet outside. But other than that, we're great. Sean, Bear.
Spur Bear, what's up?
Roar. Roar.
What's going on, fellas? Happy to be back. Hopefully I can stick around today and don't have to run out the door and have my mom staring at me through a window over there. But
yeah.
That was Elite Live show.
Huh?
That was an Elite Live production thing.
Yeah, live production. But big Bearcat fan tonight. Let's go UC Bearcats. Let's get that first Big 12 victory. And another team to look out for tonight, the Seattle Mariners. We need them to win tonight. We need them to keep on winning. They're playing the Texas Rangers because if they keep winning, that means Houston has to keep trying. And I'm hoping Houston can get that sweep this weekend. I'm not down and out yet, Elliot.
Well, I'm down and
Until
out.
the Diamondbacks win
I'm down and out on the Bearcats, too.
Diamondbacks win one more game.
There's one good thing
Or the
about
Reds lose one more game.
There's one.
They're not mathematically
there's
out.
No, the Reds have no hope. But there's also no hope for the Bearcats. You mentioned the Bearcats. This is the best part of college football. When a team loses, your playoff chances and your season's just gone. So that's the best part. I already know that UC season's done for. It doesn't matter why play the games because there's zero chance for a national championship. UC plays tonight against BYU. I don't care.
You don't want to get into a bowl game?
Games, no. I don't want to play
Bourbon Bowl,
I don't want
baby?
to play in the Cheez-It Bowl. I don't want to play in the Lawn Care Bowl, the Idaho
Cheez-Its.
Potato Bowl, the
Mayo
Duke's
Bowl.
Mayo Bowl, the Hawaii Bowl. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. So UC football, win, lose, season's over anyway. Casey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Elliot. I'm doing good. Everyone here, we all got cleaned up today or yesterday. We
got
the
fresh
hammer was
Dougies.
put down. We said if we didn't come in looking good and clean, that we were all going to lose our jobs. So we all got haircuts apparently.
That's true.
So
That's true. That is a true story that Casey just told.
Yeah.
Speaking of true stories, everyone was asking about my my Cubs fandom. I got a fun story to tell about my Cubs fandom. So last night I'm out doing stuff with my wife. I'm watching the Cubs game. I see they go down 4-1. My phone dies as I'm watching the game. I come home about an hour and a half later. First thing I do, I turn on MLB TV. If any of you guys know MLB TV, sometimes it plays the game that you most recently watched live on the television. So I turn on, it's the top of the 9th inning. The Cubs have a 4-3 lead. And I'm just sitting here, I'm watching this, I'm like, man, are we going to blow another lead? And then it goes to the bottom half of the 9th, and I'm like, man, we're going with Mark Leiter again? And then we get the first out against Matt Olson. I was like, come on, 2 more. Let's keep this alive. God, we're falling behind Marcell Ozuna again. And then he hits the home run. I'm like, oh, I've seen this all before. I watched this literally last night. And then I turned on the real game, and they were down 5-2. So it was an interesting about 5-minute stretch for old Rita Roo when he got home.
This is going to be the toughest show that I've probably done, largely because usually I have a hard time doing the show when I'm not distracted. It's going to be really difficult doing it today as I'm distracted trying to see if the Americans can pull themselves out of a hole here. So if you have two televisions, 2 tabs open at work, I can completely understand why. Super chat coming in from Mr. Mo says, what's funny is UC's natty hopes for basketball disappear at the beginning of the season too. So it's not just a football thing.
Whoa.
Mr. Mo's coming in firing shots.
Is this a Xavier fan talking about natty hopes? Is that what we're doing here?
He said he does not watch college basketball.
Oh.
And also that's just wrong because if you lose in the early season of college basketball and you go on like 10, 15 game winning streak, you're back in. So that's also wrong. So Mr. Mo, you paid $5 to be wrong, and that's okay. Thank you for your money. There's no refunds on that. But listen, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go put $5 on Xavier to miss the postseason again. That's what I'm going to do with that $5 you just sent in. So thank you very much.
It's what's great about college basketball as opposed to college football. They could literally lose every game in the regular season, get to the the conference tournament, win the rest of your games, win a national championship.
Yeah,
As long as everybody, there's not that many tournaments anymore. I don't think there's not many of them that allow all the teams in the conference to get into the conference tournament. But your point is valid. I mean, listen, that's the caveat of college basketball and college football, right? College basketball is one of those things where, many people probably don't really pay attention to college basketball until you get towards March because that's just when the stakes are the highest. Certainly, if you love basketball, if you love college basketball, there's certainly a reason to watch all year long. I'm not suggesting that it's worthless in November and December, but certainly you look at many of the national champions of the past, and most of the time they don't play their best basketball towards the end of the year. UConn looked like a team that was lost for about a 3-week stretch last year, and everyone in the Big East will remind you it was against all Big East teams. But point still stands. This is the thing about UC really quickly before we kind of get into other subjects and things that matter. Here's the thing about UC football. I just think that maybe, and again, I know that this is a wild thing to say, is the college football playoff the worst thing that's going to happen to this fan base? Because we're at a point now where UC football for the longest time was like every week you could get somewhat excited because if you won that game, it was fun. It was something to look forward to. Now UC fans, and I know Elliot may not be the perfect depiction of every fan that is UC football, but it's like you got a chance to win your first Big 12 game. I mean, you should be excited about it. That should be something worthwhile to watch. It's enjoyable. But now, oh no, if you don't make the college football playoff, what are we doing here if you're a UC fan for football specifically, with all due respect, of course? You had one great class come through. one great class come through. You had a coach that struck lightning in a bottle. Everything fell your way. Might I remind you, in the Big 12 championship that same year, if it doesn't go your way and Baylor wins, or whatever term it was, UC still doesn't get in the college football playoff. So it was just without better vocabulary, it was a miracle from the first place to get in the college football playoff. Now we want to make that somewhat of the standard. That just can't be the case. It just can't be the case. If UC football wins 7 games a year or more, it's a great season. Tell me I'm wrong, Elliot.
No, you're not wrong, but at the same and by the way, yeah, for most UC fans, tonight should mean something, blah, 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 blah. We'll all have fun and candy and whatever. We can all sit around the fire and sing Kumbaya when you beat BYU tonight in a meaningless Big 12 game. But for me personally, I try to win. I try to wake up and I try to have a team that I like compete for a national championship. And UC football right now, unfortunately, with a loss to Miami of Ohio at home, is not a national championship competing team. So I check out of the season because it's not worth my time. I'm frustrated by Emory Jones. I'm frustrated by everything. UC basketball is all I have left this year. So we'll see. We'll see if they can pull it together. Hope for a miracle run in the Big 12, the best basketball conference of all time. But to answer your question, no, it shouldn't be the standard. You shouldn't wake up and expect national titles like Alabama. We are not Alabama. We do not have Nick Saban. We have Scott Satterfield. I mean, it's just you wake up and when I try to watch a UC football game and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good game. I like it. And then we think like, oh, who's our coach? Scott Satterfield, a guy who fans picketed outside of Louisville and just tried to get him out of the stadium as fast as possible. So that's why I'm a little down in the dumps. I'm a little down in the dumps about UC sports. But if you're a UC fan, cheer on BYU, rah, rah, rah. Let's go.
Hey, really quick, stay on UC. We have 2 relatively big UC fans in the room right now. If things don't go well this year for UC football, and for all intents and purposes, it's probably not going to go all that well, considering that you have a brand new head coach. And anytime you get a brand new head coach, things are difficult, period. You add on top of the fact that you have a transfer portal now, it's just not a really fair situation for Satterfield to be judged by, but that's the world we live in now. You're going to be judged immediately. Satterfield's going to have people that think that he's not a good football coach if he wins 3 games this year, when you could have put Nick Saban in the same situation as Satterfield, and Nick Saban might have won 3 games this year. I don't know. Certainly, the thing that's not helping the cause of Satterfield is Deion Sanders. And the reason I bring this all up is because there's a guy that decided to make a decision this year, and maybe you could convince me that Deion, he didn't want to come to UC, and they wouldn't have had the money, or they couldn't have figured it all out. But how long does John Cunningham sit at the top of UC athletics before he starts taking some heat if Wes Miller isn't able to find a way to win basketball games in the next, maybe call it 2 years? I know this is a lot of hypotheticals right now.
Yeah, well,
let's keep doing this thing like we act like John Cunningham and the Bearcats just said no to Deion.
I think they did.
There's literally been no evidence to that whatsoever.
What do you mean?
Absolutely,
No evidence.
there's been no evidence.
There has been
How did he not even get like a full-fledged interview? You're telling me that Deion Sanders wouldn't have at least been brought in? I'll tell you this right now. If you're a good salesperson, if you're somebody worth a shit, you at least entertain the option. You listen to somebody. You let them come in. You bring them around campus. You make it a big deal. And then you try to figure out if it's going to make sense or not. John Cunningham never even gave it a shot. Never even brought him in. Never even made it a big thing. You know why? Because they thought to themselves, we don't want to deal with that. That's not our style. I'm going to go get somebody else.
The fact that Deion even said anything.
That's speculation
That is a
hour.
fact.
Speculation hour.
Well, Deion even said that he wanted to come to UC.
He put out one Instagram post of him wearing a
You
Reds
don't think
jersey.
he would have entertained the UC job
like-
if they were interested?
I'm not saying that, but we're
Because
acting.
Colorado's such a better program and
They
such a
certainly-
better opportunity than UC. You're probably right, Reed. You're
Well,
probably
I'm
right.
just-
He probably was like, you know
we
what?
are
You know where I
acting-
want to go? I want to go to Colorado, where they've not won shit for 30 years. That's where I want to go. Oh, what conference is it in? Oh, it's in the same exact conference as UC, who just went to the college football playoff. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Boulder, or do you want to go to University of Cincinnati? I don't know.
I'm just saying we're acting like Deion was begging to come to UC and Bearcats turned him down. I'm not saying that they didn't have. I'm not saying that it wasn't an open door or anything like that. I'm just saying that we're acting like the Bearcats just said, like, we don't want Deion.
They did. They didn't interview him.
Though.
You have
They
to
don't
interview a
him.
guy to show any kind of interest.
But
in
I'm
him.
just saying, I think, like, if the options were between Colorado and UC, he still takes Colorado.
Why?
Because more money.
What? Is there
Because
more money?
Yes.
You
yes.
sure?
Yes.
You're sure?
Yes.
I mean, there is more money in Colorado. I'm not suggesting that there isn't, but I also think that if so, what you're saying is
I just don't think
that's fair. What you're saying
I just don't think there was ever a world in which Deion is coming to UC.
Gotcha.
I don't think Deion ever took that seriously. And maybe you could say that UC didn't bring him in. Maybe Deion didn't want to be like we're all speculating here.
So
But if we're gonna speculate, I'm not gonna speculate on the side that UC fucked up.
Man, that's a kid show.
Oh.
I don't have a bleeper. Beep. Missed it.
See you guys.
No, Reed's.
I guess Reed's trying to make and illustrate the point that UC didn't have a chance to interview Deion Sanders, and I just have a hard time believing that's the truth. When a guy played in this city, put on his Instagram a picture of him playing in this city before all of this happened, and he wouldn't have at least come in and interviewed formally. I'm pretty sure he went and interviewed formally at like the University of Central Florida or somewhere.
And to be fair,
In fact,
Reed,
I'll look this up as we go around the room.
to be fair,
Central
Reed,
Florida is
I
an
don't think,
objectively better place to coach a football team.
I don't think that Prime was
They won a
trying
national
to
championship.
do
You don't
everything
think-
in his
you don't
power
think-
to go to UC. I don't think that was the case. But he was open to the idea of coming to UC. It was a, favorable spot for him to go to. It's not like,
I just don't want us to keep doing this thing on the show where we are constantly belittling the University of Cincinnati because Deion isn't the head coach of the University of Cincinnati, and because it's an insinuation that UC fumbled the bag on Deion. UC could have put all of their time, effort, and energy into getting Deion here, and he still is unlikely that he comes here. So I'm gonna push back every time that Trace or anyone on this show says UC messed up by not getting Deion, because I just illustrated, if UC put all their time, effort, energy, through all the money, through all the, tried to woo him, all these things, try to get him to UC, I still don't think that Deion's top spot would be UC.
Well, I'll tell you this: if they would have put an effort in and didn't get him, say they don't get him, I bet you they still could have got Scott Satterfield.
But let me ask you this.
He would have still been on the
you're
table.
right. You're right.
You're right, but here's the thing. Deion's making roughly $2 million more than Satterfield right now. You're paying a guy who will jump ship if he has one good season. Deion Sanders is not a Colorado lifer. He's going to go to Miami. He's going to go somewhere big immediately after they have a decent season. That's a fact. That's a fact. So you're going to pay $5 million, $5.5 million for a rental. That's what you're going to do.
Because what the better option is to go get a guy that doesn't have other opportunities because he's so bad that you just have to marinate in his shit.
Yeah, because we'll just settle.
Which is what you're mad about with Satterfield. That's what you're saying. Would you rather have a guy that has other opportunities because they're winning football games, or would you rather just have a guy that's just going to sit around and win you 5-6 games a year and no one really loves him? Is that what you want?
Duke Mayo Bowl.
You're going to play the Duke Mayo Bowl every single year and you're just going to love life. That's what you are. I'm just going to tell you right now that maybe, just maybe, he didn't want to take an interview, perhaps, possibly, but all I got to say is if you're worth your weight, if you got a little bit of charisma, if you can find a way to sell your own place a little bit more, it doesn't just come down to strictly money. This is a guy, by the way, who did play in the NFL for a long, long time. This is a guy, by the way, who had premier jobs ever since he got out of said NFL. This is a guy that had millions upon millions of dollars before he ever arrived at any campus. Money might be the ultimate factor for Deion. I don't know. Maybe it is. But I think if there's anybody in the world that you could convince possibly to go somewhere else than to somewhere else because of money, it'd be a guy that already has millions and millions of dollars. And I would have at least given it a shot. But you know what happened instead? This is the truth. At least, obviously, Reed's going to get mad because I'm speaking as a fact when maybe it's just my opinion. But you know what happened? We all know what happened. They went after guys like Brian Hartline. They went after other guys because that fit their mold a little bit better. That was what they wanted. and they swung and missed. And they looked around the room and they thought, shit, we're going to have to find somebody. Who do we go get? Well, they don't want that guy down there in Louisville. He did have some success at Appalachian State. Maybe we'll give him a shot. And there you go. Match made in heaven. A guy that was trying to get run out of town finds a new home. You can convince me all you want that maybe, just maybe, Deion Sanders never wanted to come to the University of Cincinnati. But I'm going to tell you right now, Wes Miller better save John Cunningham's ass. Or else John Cunningham's going to find himself on the outside looking in.
He's going to.
In a couple years.
Mr. Mo brings up a really good point. Colorado has made $90 million in 3 weeks because of Deion. Sounds pretty nice for a rental to me.
Once again, I'm not arguing the merits of hiring Deion Sanders as opposed to Scott Satterfield. I'm not arguing any of those things. I'm just saying I'm not going to sit here and let this show continue to bash UC for fumbling the bag on Deion Sanders when I don't know if that's the case. In fact, I'd argue that's not the case. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to sit here and go like UC messed up big time by not hiring Deion Sanders. UC, like I illustrated, UC could have put all the time, effort, energy to try and woo, to try and get the money, all these things to get Deion here. And I'm not sure that Deion would be here.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever in the cards for UC. Could be wrong.
Right.
But I mean there was no report, there was nothing that connected him to UC at all. He had one Instagram post. But that's all. I mean, that's it. So
Real quick.
UC plays tonight.
Did we give Justin a shout out for joining Leader of Men?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to, well, I'm not saying that we did. Shout out to Justin. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Anyone want to help me out here?
I'm working on trying to get my YouTube pulled up for the fan funding. If you're not logged in, it doesn't show you the super chat. So I am back better than ever. Justin Edgel. You are a leader of men. Mr. Mo with a good point. Yes, Drew Garrison says we have an F-bomb, just what this show needed. Thank you, Reed. Some love it. Mark Fetters says go Bucks in the middle of our controversy over UC and what they've done or what they shouldn't have done. And then you got Mr. Mo again coming in with another big bomb saying that $90 million in 3 weeks seems like a pretty good rental. This certainly wasn't where this show was supposed to go, but that's what you get on Off the Bench. You just never know where it's going to go. I'm just to the point now where I did feel like during the interview process, UC didn't give it their best effort towards Deion because ultimately I don't think that was the guy they wanted. It's as simple as that. If they wanted Deion, they would have at least, at the very minimum, brought this guy in and courted him around town. They would have tried to do their best sales pitch humanly possible. Humanly possible. Are you telling me that if you really wanted a guy, that you couldn't even have gotten Deion Sanders, who was at Jackson State, to come at least walk around the campus and try to figure out whether or not UC was an option, and he winds up in Colorado because that's such a powerhouse? Yeah, money. I hear about it. Do you think Deion Sanders would rather take a million or $1.5 million less in the position he is in life to go to a place where he thinks he could be more successful, or take a couple more million a year and just go to Colorado, who's, quite frankly, before he got there was just basically it was basically the NFL's version of the Detroit Lions, a big black hole.
Do you think that Deion, if we're going to keep speculating this and we're going to keep talking about the merits of Deion going to Colorado versus UC, do you think that Deion, the attractiveness of going to Colorado is that he's the biggest ticket in town? Even if he gets UC football rolling, even if he comes to the Bearcats, he's still not the biggest ticket in town. He's still not the most important thing happening here in Cincinnati because we have the Bengals. We have the Reds, who are both playing well. Do you think that? Because, he owns the city of Boulder, Colorado now. He owns that city. He's the Joe Burrow of Boulder, Colorado. Do you think that is attractive to Deion Sanders?
It could be.
Because you know it is. It is not it could be. It is.
No, what Reed's trying to suggest is that Deion Sanders' ego isn't so big. It's not big enough to think that if he thought that he came to Cincinnati, he wouldn't be the biggest thing in town. Because you know what? That's what I'd be selling. That's what I would be selling if I was John Cunningham. I'd bring him in and I say, yeah, we got Joe Burrow. Yes, we got the Reds. We got all those things. But you're going to be the biggest thing in this town. And oh, by the way, guess what? Look at all these different things we have in our town. You want to go to Boulder? Be my guest. Nothing against Boulder. Boulder's a great town. But would you rather be the king of the ship of Cincinnati or would you rather be the king of the ship in Boulder? I don't know.
He would.
We have some super chats real quick.
Go ahead.
We need more UK basketball coverage in here. I need expert breakdowns from y'all. That's $5 from Chi-Town Real Estate. I thank you for your $5. Unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. I don't know enough. I don't like them very much, but I thank you very much. Drew Garrison says we have an F-bomb, just what the show's needed. Thank you, Reed. Mark Fetters says go Bucks. I also disagree with that one as well. But that's okay. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you very much. By the way,
reading those super chats. Yep. No one did that.
No one did that.
No one did that.
No one did that one, Elliot.
That shows that Elliot's locked in today.
Hey, they got him read twice.
Hey, Elliot's locked in.
well, I got complaints in the chat, so that's what I was reading. I was reading the complaints in the chat, so that's what I was doing.
This show's off to a roaring start.
We do have a new super chat. Elliot, want to read the new super chat?
Yeah.
No, I
go
don't.
ahead, Elliot.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
read that
Elliot.
one.
Go ahead.
Nope.
No, go ahead, Elliot.
It's you.
Drew Garrison says 1 UDF shake and a bottle of Pawnee water and Prime would be here. Changed my mind. Yeah, you're probably right.
Ooh, we got a new super chat. Drew Garrison says 1 UDF shake and a bottle of Pawnee water, and Prime would be here. Changed my mind.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, Elliot.
Oh.
I
What an
promise I'm
elite
not
show
sorry.
this has become. All right.
Let's move on to some Bengals talk.
Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals. What do the Bengals need to do to win this football game in Tennessee? I will say I'd like to think that they need to throw the ball over 15 yards down the field and have somebody else catch it a couple different times. You know, I was thinking about what I said the other day, and I don't know if it's true or not. We'll certainly see what other people around the room think, and they'll probably let me know whether they believe it or not, because it's going to be a little bit of a controversial
Go
statement.
ahead and troll.
It's not trolling.
Go ahead.
It's not trolling, folks.
Floor is yours.
Someone in the chat said yesterday that, didn't Tom Brady dink and dunk his way all the way to just, 7 Super Bowls? Yeah, he did. He did. And a lot of those dinking and dunkins, all right, were, to be fair, on the backs of a defense. That's exactly how Tom Brady won a lot of football games, especially earlier in his career. And I'm not here to say that it was Tom Brady wasn't good. I'm not here to say that Tom Brady, didn't deserve all the accolades and the credit and the recognition that he's done. But to say that you're going to spend a significant amount of money on the offensive side of the ball, right? Because every time we discuss big money contracts for this franchise, the Cincinnati Bengals, it's obviously Joe Burrow, and he got paid. But then the next guy is Jamar Chase. And then usually the next guy after that is like, what can we do about T. Higgins? It's always the defensive side of the ball that doesn't get talked about when it comes to extensions. Yes, they've made some extensions. I'm not suggesting they haven't. But we're not talking about, for instance, a defensive tackle like Aaron Donald. You got to extend him. I'm not talking about any kind of edge rushers. Yes, Hendrickson's been great. Is he going to get extended?
Already did.
Sam Hubbard?
You got 1 year, right?
But we're at the point now where all the talks are on the offensive side of the ball. All of them. If you want to convince me otherwise, I'm ready to listen to you. I'm willing to look. I'm willing to listen. But every single time I hear a Bengals fan talk about the future, it's always about the offense. And I'm just here to tell you that if the plan in the short interim is to rely on this defense, then I think that's a scary thought if I was a Bengal fan. Because I'm not sold that this defense is going to be able to carry the load. Are you sold on that?
listen, you're asking if the Bengals should start extending defensive players.
No, I'm saying that this defense is never the thing that everyone talks about as to why this team has success. It is exactly that. And then when you suggest that you have a $219 million guaranteed quarterback, the answer now is that you can dink and dunk yourself all the way down the field.
Listen, every team, unless they have a superstar defensive player, they talk about the offense more because that's what fans are drawn to, scoring points. And that's been honestly the charm of the Bengals defense is they don't have any huge names like Aaron Donald and TJ Watt. And for you to sit up there and say like maybe they should start extending defensive players, they already have. Logan Wilson, Trey Hendrickson got extensions this offseason. On top of that, the Bengals are putting all their draft capital, all their early round draft capital into the defense. The Bengals are putting just as much effort into the defense, just as much capital into the defense as the offense. They're just doing it in different ways. The offense, they're doing it in free agency. Because the young guys that they already have elite players on the skill positions. So they're going to extend those guys, and they're going to go to free agency on the offensive line. And they're going to extend the guys that they know are playmakers on the defensive side, and then they're going to draft guys in the secondary. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? This defense, Lou Anarumo, has been great. I said last week that the defense had been bad for 6 of the 8.
They've been great. Wait a minute. Time out. This is what cracks me up. They've been great. Objectively, week 1 and 2, they were terrible. They had one good game against the Rams, and now all of a sudden you want to sit here and tell me they've been great?
They've been great for 2 years.
You ready to hang your hat on this defense the rest of the year?
I mean,
I said they've been great for 2 years.
No, Reed said they were bad for 6 of 8 quarters.
I said they were bad for 6 of 8 quarters last week, and they come out and have a marquee game on primetime football. They win that game single-handedly. No, I don't think that the defense can do it alone. Yes, I mean, I guess I don't know what you're arguing.
I don't think there's any team that can have a defense that does it all by themselves.
Correct.
Right?
The offense needs to do better.
There's no NFL team in the league that relies on their defense to get them all the way to the end goal.
There's been one defense in the history of the NFL that's done that.
That's just not true. What you're getting ready to say is a false statement, but go ahead and say it.
The 86 Chicago Bears are the only team that's ever done. 85
The Ravens carrying Trent Dilfer's
Tampa Bay
ass.
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers didn't do it the other year. What about the Broncos when they had Peyton Manning's old ass? They couldn't even literally do anything.
The Buccaneers.
You want to keep going? Because I mean, we've already debunked your statement like 5 times over.
The Buccaneers led the what?
2002 Buccaneers.
Oh well, whatever. Okay,
Mike
I was wrong
Allstott,
with that one.
Fullback. Yeah.
I mean, in the last 10 years.
And like Trace just said, the Denver Broncos, the year they won it, Peyton Manning was terrible that year. And they won the Super Bowl because of their defense.
But go ahead. You guys are trying to bring up a point. I'm just suggesting, are you guys ready to hang your hat on this defense? That's the question I'm asking. You guys are getting really defensive. I'm asking the question. If you think that Joe Burrow is going to be able to dink and dunk himself all the way down the field like he did against the Rams, they haven't looked good the last 2 games, but we'll just say that was rust.
Well,
but they dink and dunk themselves down the field the game against the Rams. Are you ready to say and feel confident that the defense is going to be able to keep doing that? Because that's what it's going to take to win like the Patriots did with Tom Brady. That's what I'm suggesting.
No. Listen, if to get where we need to be, the offense needs to play better. We're not resting on the laurels of the defense is going to do what they did on Monday night every week. That'd be asinine. That'd be crazy. That's not what anyone's suggesting. We know we have a great defense because it's been a great defense for 2 years. We know we have a great defense because in primetime they played well against a Hall of Famer, Matt Stafford. The defense can help us win ball games, and they're going to have to pick up the slack until this offense figures itself out, till this offense figures its identity with a banged-up Joe Burrow.
If they don't, then they're in trouble. I mean,
right.
I don't think any of us have suggested that they can carry us all the way to the Super Bowl. But I mean, like for me, I think we really need Joe Burrow to just start getting marginally better week by week. And we'll see how he does this week. He's not wearing the sleeve anymore. There's a little bit of suggestion that maybe he's getting a little healthier. But right now, defenses are still playing us that too high safety look, which already limits our deep ball potential. So with the banged up Joe Burrow, dinking and dunking is really the only thing that they're able to do. As soon as they start dropping guys, as soon as they start with the single high safeties crowding up the box, I mean, I am a little worried. I'm a little worried what that looks like. But at the same time, we got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase who are going to have those one-on-ones on the outside. I feel pretty confident about that rather than what we have currently, which is the too high look where they have that shadow coverage of the safety over the top. So, I mean, we'll see what they do this week. I think that'll show a lot of what's to come.
Yeah, as for what how the Bengals can score more points, their plan has been to utilize their strengths, which is wide receivers. It is the pass game, which has been the strength of the past 2 years. And they said, listen, we're not built to ground and pound. We're going to try and get 4 yards here, 3 yards here, 4 yards through the air. The pass game can be an extension of the run game. We see that with screens.
Right.
We see that with short slants. We see those with comebackers to Drew Sample in open space, which is our best play, of course. Get the ball to DS89 in open space and let them cook. But how can the Bengals evolve as an offensive unit? Because the plan that they had, which was the dinks and dunks, has shown not to be effective. Has shown that we can't do this, even though it is how the roster is built, to have 4 wide, 3 wide, and get it to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd for 4 yards here. That isn't working. At least it's not sustainable for an entire ball game, because just against the Rams, they get across the field multiple times, and they only get in the red zone once, only get in the end zone once. How can they evolve the offense? Is it via different run schemes? Is it drawing up as much protection for Joe Burrow to where maybe only 2 guys are going out and going downfield? Last night I watched Jared Goff roll out to the left and throw a ball 20 yards downfield, and I said, that would be nice if we could do that with Joe Burrow. But we can't right now. We can't. How can this offense evolve against a bad defense in the Tennessee Titans this Sunday? That's the question.
Drew Garrison, it's been an expensive day, he says. Michigan man Dax Hill and his coming out party had his coming out party. The Bengals defense is all the way back. The show is expensive for me today. Listen, I'd understand why people believe in this defense. I'm not suggesting for a second that they shouldn't be believed in. I guess what I am suggesting is that if the dink and dunk thing, which is what people, again, the other day in the chat were suggesting that the Bengals can keep doing, is going to work, then you're going to rely on the defense. Simple as that. That's all I'm saying. If you want to get mad at me because I'm sitting here suggesting that if Joe Burrow can't throw the ball down the field, that you're relying on a defense that hasn't been proven, then I guess go ahead. Keep wearing those colored glasses. Keep enjoying what you have.
The defense and Evan McPherson.
Yeah, I mean,
let's not say that the defense hasn't been proven when you literally sat up here last week and said that the reason that they've had success in the postseason is the defense.
Yeah.
That's proving it.
And they have a different defense this year.
They have the exact same defense minus 2 guys, two safeties,
which is two really good players.
2 safeties, which is the least important position on the defense.
And one of them has been balling out.
And Dax Hill looks great.
All over the field.
And Dax Hill looks great.
Chi-Town Real Estate, another super chat. I will not be out super chatted. Game on, Drew. Yes. Also, shout out to my Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave's watching. Shout out there. A lot of shout outs. Can we reread a super chat again?
Yeah, I will not be out super chatted. Game on, Drew. Chi-Town Real Estate.
Great. Also, I checked my stats on the defense thing. There's been 3 times where that defense carrying Super Bowl team didn't also rank in the top 10 of offense. So I don't know what we're talking about there. The Bengals defense is fine. Joe Burrow has to play well. I mean, that's just a fact. If you're gonna have a bad quarterback, you're not gonna win games. So if Joe Burrow is gonna throw 49 passes, gonna complete 50% of them, we're not winning football games. Defense good, defense bad, doesn't matter. If you don't score points, you don't win. 19 points the rest of the way isn't winning football games. So figure it out. Joe Burrow, if he's hurt, he's hurt. Bench him for A.J. McCarron. I'm not going to hear Jake Browning anything anymore. Jake Browning's a bum, a career bum. So Jake Browning, he might as well be cut. A.J. McCarron, learn the offense. Get ready in 3 weeks after we torch these shitty teams, and we'll be ready after the bye with A.J. McCarron, if that's what we want to do. Because if Joe Burrow can't show any progression here, then he's done. If he's going to play the same way, 50 drop back passes the next 3 games, complete 50% of them, and he can't throw long, bench him, he's done. We have to try to win football games with a quarterback that can play.
I'm going to fire back at you. I'm firing back at you on
Let's
that.
go.
You don't think a good defense helps an offense?
Of course. When did I say that?
Yeah, when did you say that?
You just said they had a top 10 in offense because it's only been carried 3 times. A good defense gets you good field position, which means you're going to probably score more points if you're an offense.
And do you think top 10? The other thing I would say too, top 10 offense. Like, could you do me a favor right now and tell me who the 10th ranked offense is in the NFL this year? I'm just curious. I want to see how elite that offense is before we get into this idea that if you have a top 10 offense.
Do you want to go by
what are you going by? Points
or yardage?
Okay, well, the 10th team in offense this year is the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think about their offense?
What about the 9th team?
9th team, the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
You want to go 8th?
Yeah.
It's the Eagles.
Yep.
Okay, Chargers.
What are we arguing here?
Cowboys. These are all great offenses.
Are we arguing that the top 10 offenses aren't good offenses? Is that what we're trying to argue?
I'm suggesting that,
Because that's a tough argument. Keep reading the list. Let's go to number 1. Let's go to number 1 ranked offense. Who's that?
No,
Who's that one? Let's see it, Reed. Who was it?
I mean, in the top 10 offenses, the only team that you could argue isn't wowing is the Seahawks.
No, I think
But
that what I'm trying to
37 points
suggest
a game.
is that if you have a 9th or 10th ranked offense at the end of the year and you have a number 1
Yeah, we're
team
talking
defense,
3 weeks.
That's what he
the
wanted to
reason
do.
that you're winning football games is because of your defense. The 10th ranked offense isn't like all that impressive to me, I guess is what I'm getting at. So to sit here and suggest just because they had a top 10 offense isn't the reason why they're winning football games. We'll find out. My main point to all this is, before every Bengals fan gets all defensive, is this: is that if Joe Burrow doesn't play any better, if he can't throw the ball down the field, you're basically toast unless the defense continues to carry it.
And that's what
just
we all
like
know.
they did on Monday Night Football. So if you want to dink and dunk yourself all the way down the field, is what I'm saying, and you can't throw the ball down the field, then ultimately you're relying on this defense to do what they did on Monday night. And if you think they can replicate that, by all means, that's fine. I'm glad. That would be great. But I think it's a little naive to sit here and think that, again, I'm going off of a couple chats. I'm not saying that you guys are saying that. I'm just suggesting that people in the chat are suggesting to me that the offense will be fine. It's all good. They can dink and dunk themselves down the field like they did on Monday night. The Packers just got boat raced yesterday. Boat raced.
By the 9th offense in the league.
They got boat raced. And you know what? Offensively, they basically did what this offense has done for the Bengals all year long. In fact, I don't know. They might have scored more points. Their offensive possessions for the Packers last night, they scored more points than I think maybe the Bengals have.
There isn't a single person in this room. There isn't a single person currently. There's 105 people currently watching this show. There's not a single person in this room. There's not a single person watching this show that doesn't think that the Bengals offense needs to play better, because it does. We all know that if we want to have any relative success to what we've been the past few years. I mean, to sit here and say that we think that we can get to where we think we can be without the offense getting better is nothing, because no one believes that. Not a single person believes that. Yeah, we can win games in the here and there by dinking and dunking and hoping on a good defensive game. Yeah, you can do that. In fact, that's what you argued with Jake Browning when you said you wanted Jake Browning to start.
Yeah,
but we need the offense to get better. We need the offense to get better. We all think that the offense needs to get better. And if you want to keep asserting that this defense is unproven, that's a crazy assertion too.
And I would also say, like, teams like the 49ers get away with dinking and dunking with a good run game. We really need Joe Mixon to have a great run game to start this game off, or else you're right. I mean, we just won't be able to go where we want to go. I think that's the most important part is, will the Bengals decide that having Joe Burrow throw 50 times is probably not the smartest idea when he's got a bum ankle or a bum calf. I mean, I think that's the most important part of this game.
When it boils down to what's going on with the Bengals right now, they're just in an incredibly tough spot, and it's all because of Joe Burrow's calf. Joe Burrow got hurt, and they made the gamble to say, we want Joe Burrow banged up, not at 100%, to play against two division rivals week 1 and week 2. That gamble did not pay off. They went 0-2. Joe Burrow got even more hurt. But if they didn't want to punt on the season, they had to keep rolling Joe Burrow out there and keep rolling out a shell of this offense of what it could be. And that's going to be continuing, because the options are continue to play Joe Burrow banged up and keep this season alive, or you roll somebody else out there and probably the season's over.
I just think that's objectively funny. I understand the faith in Joe. I get it. He's taking you to play. Listen, he's taking you to places the Bengals have never been in many people's lifetimes. Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. I'm not suggesting for a second he's not. But when I hear people in the chat and everybody in here saying to me, oh my God, if they don't play Joe Burrow, there's no chance they have a chance at winning. I mean, if you watch the games like I do sometimes, I think to myself, how much worse could you possibly be inept on offense and sit here and to suggest to me you have no chance of winning? If you schematically use a guy's legs,
Well, that's the thing.
and try to find ways to just move the ball down the field, this offense has not scored that many points with the Joe Burrow that you have. So if you're going to, again, am I saying that Joe Burrow is worse than Jake Browning? No. What I'm saying is that Joe Burrow, with the way that he's playing right now based off of his calf, is not, in my opinion, that much greater than what you would get with Jake Browning. Maybe you think I'm wrong. We're not going to sit here and debate this again because I know that
Plus, you're risking him getting hurt worse and then being out for the season.
Well, that's the thing is that's the gamble you have to play, because if he had 5 weeks to rest that calf and he came back and it wasn't 100%. And everything that everyone has said about this injury says that it would take more than 5 weeks, more time than that to be 100%. So the unfortunate reality is that Joe Burrow is going to play the majority of this year, if not this entire year, on a banged-up leg. So as I've mentioned before, the options are play a banged-up Joe Burrow and see where the chips lay, and hopefully it gets better, and hopefully the offense can adapt around it. Or you sit him and you worry about the future. The future's, the other 6 years on his contract, and you try to play those years. I mean, you keep bringing up that if Jake Browning plays, you can make a scheme to win a ball game with Jake Browning. And then earlier 2 days ago, you're saying Zach Taylor isn't some genius, even though no one thinks he's a genius, because his play calling is terrible. I mean, how do we have confidence in Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan to think that if we can't get an offense rolling with Joe Burrow, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, what makes you think that they can schematically draw something up for Jake Browning? Those seem to be competing arguments. I don't know how to.
One guy can't.
I don't know how to illustrate the point any further.
That's fine. We're never going to get to the same page because you believe that Joe Burrow is the only option to win football games, and that's perfectly fine. I understand your point.
He's the only option to keep the season afloat.
What does that mean? That's the same thing I just said. Joe Burrow is the only option that you think the Bengals have to win football games.
Right.
Joe Burrow is the only option to keep the season afloat. Can anyone come up with another term that we could use around here to make it sound the same? It's the same thing. The point is that we're not all going to agree. You want to crush the backup quarterback and say that it's impossible for the Bengals to win with him. And I would say if Joe Burrow continues to play the way he's played relatively the last 3 games, it's going to be really hard to win football games, period. And, oh, by the way, you're risking a guy that's making $219 million guaranteed that's going to be here till 2029. If you want to crush me and say that I'm being a hater or whatever and naive, go ahead. I'm not. I'm not even being a troll. I'm just suggesting I'm using my eyes. I watch the game. Joe Burrow is an average quarterback right now. Maybe even below average, to be honest. That's what he is. If you want to keep risking him to go out there, then understandable. If you think that you can't possibly win without Joe Burrow, then that's why you would believe that. I'm of the mindset that maybe I don't want to make it sound like I believe more in the roster than everyone else does. I just think genuinely that the Bengals could roll out a backup quarterback and find ways to do the same thing that this offense has done the last 3 weeks. Is that crazy to say?
Trace,
what's the end goal there?
I will concede to you that Joe Burrow. I will concede to you that Joe Burrow looks like an average quarterback if he does not perform against the Titans, because the Titans secondary is god awful. Everyone from last season to this year has thrown like 300, 400 yards on that team. If Joe Burrow can't get to 300 yards or like near that 250, I'm going to be a little concerned.
Well,
I will concede that fact.
Every point that Trace is making is relatively true, in that if Jake Browning plays against these next 3 games, maybe they can win. Joe Burrow looks not himself right now and looks average at best. These things can be true. The point of what I'm arguing is that everyone, and I mean everyone, has said that 5 weeks doesn't get Joe Burrow back to 100%, because he's already had 5 weeks. That the unfortunate reality is that he's going to be playing banged up this entire year. So you have 2 options. and I have to make this point again, the options are you rest Joe Burrow and you punt on the year. And you say, we'll try again next year.
The unfortunate reality of the NFL is you're going to get hurt. So if you bench him this year, next preseason he steps on a rock, he sprains his ankle, and we can play the injury game all night long. And I get that this is vastly different. It's an injury where you probably should bench him. But this is the risk when you play in the National Football League. Jake Browning, and again, Trace was right. If Jake Browning could have probably done what Joe Burrow did the past 3 weeks. Nobody's saying that.
Right.
But here's the difference. That's Jake Browning's ceiling. Joe Burrow is playing on his floor right now.
You don't know what Jake Browning's ceiling
You're right, I
is.
don't, because he's
That's
never...
what's bullshit
You're
with
right,
all of you
because
Bengals fans.
you're-
If I can have the microphone for a half a second, you all want to sit here and tell me how bad Jake Browning is when you haven't watched him play one snap in the NFL when the bright lights are on.
Nobody
And
has,
he's got-
because
and you know
nobody
what?
cares enough about him to play him.
And that's fine. And they said the same shit about Brock Purdy. They said the same stuff about Tom Brady. They say the same stuff about a bunch of guys that don't
Cooper
get a
Rush.
chance in the NFL. Cooper Rush also took your guys' town and waxed your ass last year in week 2, and nobody said a damn thing about it.
Waxed.
The truth is
Cowboys
I'm
did great
sick and
last
tired of hearing the slander about Jake Browning. If you want to say that I'm cousins with him and brother with him, I'm not. He guy plays in the NFL. Have a little bit of respect for a guy that's on your damn team that can probably get 3 points against the Browns. Probably can score 14 points against whoever it was you played in week 2, that juggernaut offense or whoever it was. Yeah, the Ravens, that's who it was. The Ravens, the same Ravens team that just got beat by a quarterbackless Colts, by the way. And then on top of that, the very next week, you turn around and you play the Rams and you score how many points? You want to sit here and completely convince me that Jake Browning's the most worthless quarterback in the league? Be my guest. But I'm not going to sit here and tell me without a shadow of a doubt that if Jake Browning takes a snap for the Bengals, it's all gone. That's ridiculous.
Here's what I
I'm
believe,
glad
Trace.
that you have confidence in Jake Browning because the guys that watch him every single day in practice
Yeah.
For the past
Don't.
5 years.
Yeah,
don't.
don't.
For the past
when the
5
when the
years.
proposition of Jake Browning started, what did the Cincinnati Bengals, what did Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin do? They brought in 3 new quarterbacks.
Google.
The guys that watch them every day don't have confidence. I'm glad that you do.
Yeah,
Joe
if they had any
Burrow's
confidence, they would play him.
2023 stats.
If they had any confidence
what do
in
you-
Jake Browning,
we've
they would
already
play
conceded
him.
that
They would
Jake,
play him.
that Joe Burrow hasn't looked good.
That's the argument. That's the point we're all making here. That's what you should be comparing yourself to. But what you guys have done, and that's perfectly fine. I understand why. What you've done is you put Joe Burrow on such a pedestal that you don't care about his play right now. You think that he's going to get back to what he was. You think that he's going to be that guy. And you know what? If he is, by all means, I'm waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. I waited week 1, didn't see it. I waited week 2, didn't see it. I'm waiting week 3, didn't see it. Here we go into week 4 now. And then, oh, by the way, this terrible defense we're talking about, can someone pull up what the over-under is this week against this terrible defense? Oh, by the way, the Titans team that just got thrashed the week before is a 2.5-point dog against your Cincinnati Bengals.
It's 41.
When, what is it?
41.
41 is the over-under. 41. So this offense, over-under, the Cincinnati Bengals over-under for this week, my guess is what, 22.5, 23 points?
13, probably.
So what you're saying to me is that we're willing to risk a guy. I guess this is what's crazy to me. You guys think I'm hating and trolling, and I'm genuinely not. I care more about the long-term health of Joe Burrow than what seems to be many of Bengals fans.
No.
The concept is just gone around here that this guy couldn't possibly get severely hurt because he's been limited. He clearly looks limited. He's not himself. This isn't a guy that's just barely getting by. He literally is immobile. And we want to sit there and act like that's not a big deal when you just paid him a boatload of money? Now, again, if you want to say that Jake Browning comes in the game, you automatically lose, I'm not buying that. That's my main frustration with Bengal fans right now, is because you bring up Jake Browning, automatic loss. You talk about Joe Burrow, and it's like, whoa, if he plays, we definitely have a chance to win. When in reality, the guy's been terrible so far this year. Sorry. That's the truth.
No, you're right. You're absolutely Trace. You're 100% right. And one point that you illustrated is that we seemingly don't care about the future health of Joe Burrow. I've said if that's the route that the Bengals want to go down, that's fine. If they want to sit him for this year, that's fine. Keep Joe Burrow healthy, but that's punting on the year. If you want to keep this season alive, the only other option is to play Joe Burrow. Because there is no third option where Joe Burrow sits out for 4 or 5 weeks and comes back at 100%, because that's not what every single person has told us that does not happen. Every single person has told us that does not happen.
Then I have a simple question to you. You're suggesting to me that Joe Burrow can't get healthy at all, no matter what, this season. Yes or no?
Every single person has told us that this injury will linger the entire year.
Fine. So if that's the case, and you're suggesting to me that Joe Burrow has no chance of being healthy for the rest of the year, you think with a straight face when you watch these football games right now that you think you can win a Super Bowl?
I think that we are at the floor of our offense with a banged up Joe Burrow.
And Joe Burrow can't get healthy then, right? He can't get healthy.
I think they can do
now you're saying
better things with the offense. I think that they can scheme better. I'm not saying that Joe Burrow, his health is going to range between 60 and 80% depending on the week, depending on how much he can move and stuff like that. But he's going to be dealing with this. It's going to be hindering his play all season long. And if you don't think that this offense can get any better with Joe Burrow, then that's crazy. That is crazy. Because it can't get worse.
I think that what Casey said earlier is a reasonable point. I think that you could suggest that he can get healthy. And that's the fundamental disagreement between me and Reed, is that we both think obviously different viewpoints on whether a guy can get healthy or not. He's got a strained calf.
Yeah,
doesn't have a torn ACL. I think that Joe Burrow can get 100% healthy if you give him through the bye week.
At least 90%.
At least somewhere to where at least at this. Could we all maybe we can
already has 5 weeks.
Maybe if he were to sit through the bye week, he has a chance to look like the old Joe Burrow. That's what I'm looking for. If I can get the old Joe Burrow back, by all means, Super Bowl back on. If you're suggesting to me that we're just going to keep running this guy out there every week, and again, to be fair to Joe, he has had early season rust. So if he comes out and throws for 4 touchdowns, he throws for 400 yards this week, then I'll suggest and I will say, hey, if that's what he can do, then by all means, run him back out there again. But how many more times, I guess is the question I'm asking, how many more times are we going to let Joe Burrow go out there where he is a little more immobile, he has a much higher risk of injury when you're getting the performances that you're getting out of him regardless? I don't know. Tough to say. Not an easy thing to get through. All right.
Derby stardom. Are the Rams really a good football team? I don't know. Said the Bengals beat a good Rams football team. I think the Rams are going to win about 6 games this year. If I had to put a number on it. They're about a 6-win team.
That's fair.
We got a couple super chats you need
Let's
to
do
read.
a couple super chats, then we're going to do local at 11. This is getting people fired up. Maybe we'll stay on this the whole show. I know. And you know what? People in the chat are saying, oh, Dre's trying to get the views up, doing a shtick. Listen, Brian, I'm not doing that. I care. I guess I care about a guy that just got paid. I don't know if – can I, try to humble all of us for a minute and close your eyes and think about what this franchise looks like if Joe Burrow gets hurt? It's 2029. It's a guaranteed contract of $219 million. Yes, he could get hurt all a bunch of different ways. But to convince yourself right now that he's not more prone to getting hurt because he can't move is crazy to me. All right, let's do some super chats, and then we got some locals at 11, and we're going to pay a bunch of bills around here right now.
Sir boy.
I'm trying to get to him. Looks like YouTube's struggling.
13-4, sir boy.
YouTube's struggling.
What, Cowboys?
Why can't I get to my supers on here? All right, I do see Ben Riley's super. I'll get to the rest of them, I promise. He says, I honestly think Joey B would rather be taken off on a stretcher than allow anyone, even Jesus Christ, to replace him just to vibe. That's fine, Ben. But sometimes you got to protect your own guys, don't you? There's a reason there's medical doctors on the sidelines, so when a guy gets concussed, you take him off the field, right? There's probably a reason as to why they do that. Probably because these football players are different individuals psychologically, period. How many grown men do you know that want to go ram each other's heads into each other and get concussion after concussion after concussion? There's a reason that they pull guys out of the game and they force them to sit down now. And it's because players in general can't help themselves.
That one guy also said, if the Cards can beat the Cowboys with Josh Dobbs and the Bengals can't beat one team with their backup, this team isn't as good as what people think. That's fair. That's fair. I just am under the belief that there are two options this season, and one is you punt on the year and get Joe Burrow healthy for the future, or you keep playing Joe Burrow and keep the season afloat.
The argument isn't one game. It's you're benching Joe Burrow for a long period of time.
5 weeks.
Of course they can win one game with Jake Browning. Of course. One game for the rest of our lives, they can win that. They cannot go on a 5-game stretch where Jake Browning has a winning record. That is a fact. They cannot do it. This is a guy who's been in the NFL for 5 seasons. He's never been in the game. He's never been in a game until this year in a meaningless game, in a meaningless snapping position. That's it. That's the only thing he's ever had. So if that's what we're going to say, if we're going to say Jake Browning hasn't had the opportunity to shine, nobody's given him the opportunity because he's a bum. And that's just the truth. So, we're going to do weather now? All right. Weather. This is the lowest I've ever been for weather, but sure, let's do it. It's rainy, I think. I went outside. There was water in my car. That was enough for rain for me. So if you have an umbrella, you go get it out. You know what? You go get out your umbrella, and you go dance in the goddamn rain. Excuse me for my language. But we're going to have a nice day, all right? Later in the day, it's not supposed to rain the whole day. It's going to rain for a little bit, and then it's not going to rain. And that's unless, of course, it does rain. Because I can't control the weather. I'm going to sit up here and tell you what the weather is right now, and in 5 minutes, the weather's going to change. There could be a hurricane that blows through here in 5 seconds. I don't have that information on me. All I have is the hour-by-hour forecast and what's happening outside this window. I'm looking outside that window. It's cloudy. It looks like there's going to be rain. 1 p.m., chance of rain. 2 p.m., chance of rain. 4 p.m., not a much high chance of rain there. Looks like actually sun. So sun at 4 p.m., and right now it's raining. Other than that, that's the weather. If you want to tune in for the local forecast tonight on your local news channel, here's what you're going to see. You're going to see weather for about 15 minutes. You're going to have a 10-minute commercial break, and they're going to come back from that commercial break with 5 minutes of murders. Murders, kills, all the worst crimes you can think of in this city that's ever happened. You're going to hear about them tonight on perhaps the most downing, disgusting display of broadcasting you'll ever see. That's all due respect to all local news. But to be quite honest, you go by saying if it bleeds, it leads. Well, I got better things to do with my time than find out who's bleeding in my city. So if you want to talk about who's bleeding, you go ahead and do it. You go to whatever local news they have tonight. Other than that, weather forecast, this is all you need. Look out. Here's your phone, Casey. Sorry. Here's your forecast. Rainy unless it doesn't rain. If it doesn't rain, you go outside without an umbrella. If it does rain, you bring an umbrella. Chip, back to you.
If it bleeds, it leads. Is that what they actually say in the newsroom?
Yeah, bring it back to me. Bring it back to me.
Yep.
Bring it back to me. Bring it back to me. It is what they say. So they come on there and they'll talk about tonight. And my grandma and grandpa, shout out to them. They watch it every single day for 4 hours. They watch this. I come over to their house. I love my grandma and grandpa. Shout out Mama and Papa Pete. I go over to their house. You know what they do? They watch the news, and I have to hear about murders and robberies and thieves and all the worst criminals the city has to offer. There are good things that happen in this city, and you're not going to hear about any of them on the local news. All people care about is the weather. You have it on your phone. You have that information. You don't need to tune in. If you need to hear about a Viagra commercial, I got that for you too. It's Viagra commercials, weather, murder. That's all you're getting.
No free ads.
No free ads. Shout out Viagra. That's all I got. Chip, back to you.
Well, that was an electric weather report. One in which you're not going to find, in my opinion, anywhere else. Now, some people would say that that's not accurate, but the truth seems that it is. Let's send it over. Let's send it over to wherever that place is over there now. It's not the Ham and Eggers anymore, but it's something. Casey,
Thanks, Chip.
take it away.
The Bengals Report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data center world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
Ductivity.
Visit Encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. And let me tell you about Pawnee Water. Pawnee Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the other brands that use artificial processing. This results in the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNI water.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. And for me, it's that pH level, man. An 8. A solid 8. It's not a 9. It's not a 7. It's an 8.
Solid 8, just like Spur Bear.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about this water?
Well, normally it's natural limestone filtration, but if you don't know, I'm going at a bachelor party, so I've got to get ready. This little bottle cap makes for great shots. You can just take a nice shot. Down the gullet, through the hatch. Pawnee water, natural limestone filtration. And if you shake it up, you can see it. I promise. Pawnee water.
For me, it's the smoothness. You know, when you go to Kroger's, you go to, no free ads, of course. If you go to Walmart, Kroger's, all these big stores, you're going to see lower brand waters than you'll care to admit. You'll see waters from the islands of Fiji. Spoiler, some guy scooped that out of a toilet. I mean, and they put it in the refrigerator, and that's what they're selling. They're calling it the islands of Fiji. It's more like the toilets of Walmart. So that's what you're getting there. Now, if you want a pure water, if you want a nice, smooth water that's going to help your throat, soothe your throat. I haven't coughed much today, actually. This is the first time in a long time I haven't had a cough during the morning. So can we get a clap for that? Thank you. And that's partially because of Pawnee water. It cures the cough. It cures my throat. Everybody go out and buy it right now. Pawnee water, perhaps the greatest water known to man.
Spur, what do you like about this water?
I like that it's the best tasting water in the world. It says it right on the bottle, so it's got to be, right?
It's true.
Trace?
I like the fact that it's made right here in Hamilton, Ohio. For those that care about the Ryder Cup, not great.
Oh, no.
Not great. I believe John Rahm just chipped in. He did. What is life?
Yeah, what is life? Speaking of that, real quick, before we transition, Justin Thomas, by the way, he's been the only U.S. player that's worth a damn today. Casey, real quick, I sent you a Twitter video on your DM.
Yep.
I just wanted to take a quick look at New York City right now, because this is why the Marlins and Mets weren't able to play last night. I don't know if you've seen this, Trace, but this is going to be a live look-in of the city of New York, and perhaps they need now this is where a professional meteorologist like me could have really helped this city, because it looks like a war zone there. I mean, it looks like these people are on boats in the middle of the street. Look at this. This is live in New York City right now. Thank God we don't have our F-150 there.
You see that whirlpool right there?
Yeah,
It
whirlpool,
gets sucked
that
right
typhoon,
into there,
like-
down to Pennywise.
Pennywise, the dancing clown.
Woo.
Let's get Elliot to New York. We need a live report.
Quick flight to New York. I'll do it. I'll do it for the brand, and I'll bring a boat. And I'll get out there. I'll do what half the meteorologists in the world don't have the gumption to do. The fortitude. The strength.
I knew you had one more in
The
you.
goal.
I knew you had one more in you. That was elite right there. That was elite. All right, tough to transition off the Cincinnati Bengals. There was some spirited debate there. And you know what? Ultimately, we'll find out what the right decision is. Maybe for many of you, Jake Browning isn't the answer. We'll find out if it ever comes to be. But we do have a mailbag.
Yes, we do.
We do have a mailbag, and we're going to do the mailbag right now.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
Well, we're going to get right back to the Bengals talk here, because that's where the mailbag is. I didn't think that I would have to be covering my ears for most of that argument. It got loud in here. It got personal. I felt scared. I had to put up my hood because my ears were bleeding. But now we're going to get right back into the debate, because today's mailbag comes from Little Max. Little Max in Mrs. Kellerman's class. Little Max would like to know, as the Bengals gear up to take on the Titans, do you expect the Bengals to maintain the same game plan of having our hobbled quarterback drop back 49 times instead of making Joe Mixon a staple of the offense? I personally believe Joe Mixon should run the ball more than 7.5 times. That's what I personally believe when you have a quarterback who can't run or walk or move. But that's just me. What do I know? Maybe I'm stupid. But for me, Joe Mixon, who is an all-pro running back, I would like to see him run the ball. That's just me.
Joe Mixon ran the ball 20 times on Monday.
He did.
They also, through 3 games, the Bengals on first down have ran just as much as they have passed. That is a fact. 72 plays, it's 36 passes, 36 runs. That all being said, the Bengals do need to run the ball more. The problem is they can't run the ball like they're currently doing. They have the lowest run success rate. It's like 25%. What they're doing is just not working running the ball. And I know that the personnel isn't there to change it up and go under center and to have 2 tight ends and to have a fullback and all these things and pull the guards a lot. And I know our guards pulled a little bit on Monday, but the run game has to be different. I don't know what that looks like. I've never been an offensive coordinator. I can tell you about this much about football. I just tell you what my eyes see. They've got to figure out a way to be more creative in the run game. And then the problem is the defenses can pack the box because the Bengals aren't threatening downfield at all. That's a big problem. We'll see how they address it.
Yeah, for me,
It's
the Bengals got
the
to
pH levels.
They got to yeah, the pH levels. I think for me, the Bengals really need to commit to when it's 3rd and short to actually run the ball. They are not very effective on 1st down running the football, very effective on 2nd down. I'd love to see what they do on 3rd downs. Now, like I said, Monday or Tuesday, whenever the end of the game was, they didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to run the ball on 3rd down. And, I think the 3rd quarter really showed a lot of different looks in the run game. They had a lot of 13, 14-yard runs, bigger yardage runs, and it involved them having a different scheme than what we're used to seeing, a lot of power, a lot of gap. And then, when we're trying to run the clock out, I mean, they were actually somewhat effective in doing so. I mean, 4th quarter, 2nd down, gets a 1st down. 4th down, gets a 1st down. So it's just, I think they need to just clean up the penalties and maybe we'll see a better run game. But to answer the question for Max, yes, we need to run the ball more than 7 times in the first half. But that starts with being clean. You got to play clean. You can't make a lot of mistakes, can't make a bunch of penalties, and you can't get sacked. So all of those combined should hopefully lead to a better run game.
All right. Thank you, little Max, for Mrs. Kellerman's class.
Drew in the chat brings up a good point. The Bengals' run game is probably hindered by the fact that they're not able to go under center as well.
Correct. Correct.
So
to be fair, they don't even the past 2 years they didn't go under center a whole lot because that's not how Joe played in college. I mean, that's just not how it's worked. But yeah, they can't go pretty much at all right now because they don't want Joe to turn his back to the defense and they want him to be in shotgun a lot. So,
are we doing picks or are we doing buy or sell?
I am going to do a programming update just on those that do actually somewhat care. The Ryder Cup is currently on life support. Pretty meaningful moments happening right now. Hole 18 currently. You have Spieth and Thomas against Hatton and I think Hovland. And it's tied going into the 18th hole. That is a huge swing. If the U.S. were to win that, then that is a big deal. If they were to lose that, however, it would be a pretty devastating and damning loss. If they tie it, maybe the Ryder Cup's not dead. Currently, the first 2 drives, if you've not watched, the Europeans, Hovland sprayed his drive way out to the right, and this other kid, don't even know the kid's name, he did put one in the fairway. And now Justin Thomas, who I had if we're being honest, I had a little apprehension of putting him on the team. He puts one in the fairway as well. So Jordan Spieth to tee off last. We'll see what he does, but that is a huge hole. And then just behind them through 16 is another tied match. So you have 2 tied matches going to hole 17 and 18, and you got the Americans pretty comfortably up in one other match, and then the Europeans pretty comfortably up in the other match, so those 2 will cancel out. So you have Americans have the opportunity to try to find a way to get a point here, and if they don't, to be honest with you, not saying it's over, but they'd have to have a miraculous day tomorrow to try to find themselves back in it. The Joe Mixon thing, if we were going to talk about that really quickly, listen, the Bengals got to find a way, as we all know, to schematically find ways to give their team and their playmakers an opportunity to get the ball in space. I think they did a good job. If we're going to say that they did anything well on Monday, I do think the penalties need to be cleaned up, but they did a good job of trying to get Jamar Chase involved as much as humanly possible, right? I mean, they made him an emphasis. Jamar Chase is a difference maker, and we all know that. We'll see what ultimately ends up happening. And Scotty Scheffler just threw a dime in on hole 17, so he's got a birdie putt along with John Rahm. They're probably going to be both are going to have a birdie putt. We'll see which one makes it to give them a chance. Scotty Scheffler just hit a ball that literally was this far from going in the hole. Literally, the pitch mark is this far from the hole. So, I know you probably don't care about golf. That's why you're not watching right now. And if you are watching it, you're like, I don't need the update. So, I'll stop talking about it. But I am locked in. So, I'm going to be a little distracted for the next 15 minutes if you don't mind.
Picks.
Let's do them.
Pick.
Where are we going to start? College it is. Notre Dame v. Duke. Who knew? That's a ranked matchup. I am going to go with Duke because it feels like it's an opportunity for a letdown game for Notre Dame. Now, I'm not suggesting Notre Dame's frauds or anything of that nature, but I do think Duke's a little bit better than people want to give them credit for. They did take Clemson to the woodshed. And to be honest, Duke might be for real. So I'm going to take Duke. They are getting 5.5 points. Reed?
Yeah, it's the Lou Holtz revenge game. So Lou Holtz, the ghost of Lou Holtz, is going to go over there in North Carolina, and Notre Dame's going to win by, I don't know, 7, 8 touchdowns? I don't know.
I'm going to take the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame Fighting Irish for the Lou Holtz. And we're going to take that minus, what is that, 5.5? Take Notre Dame.
Can you imagine hearing a guy talk like that and then wanting to fight him like Ryan Day did?
I don't think Ohio State looks very tough today.
Yep.
That's what I take away. My name's Lou Holtz. Ryan Day wanted to punch him.
Or Casey, you're up.
All right, I'll go next. I'm taking Notre Dame. I think they have a bounce-back game. That's their one loss of the whole season against OSU. So, yeah, Notre Dame.
I'm going to go with Duke just because of this. They thought they could play with 10 against Ohio State. They might try to play with 9 against Duke. Probably not going to work out for them.
Fun fact.
That's what tough guys do.
Unfair.
That's what tough guys do.
For.
That's what tough guys do.
They've played with 10 on the field multiple games now, Notre Dame has, which is pretty incredible if you're trying to win football games. If you're trying to be professional or if you're trying to be a serious
That's how good they are.
program.
That's how good they are. They got
Next
God.
up.
They need God out there.
All right, next up, we have the University of Cincinnati Bearcats against BYU. That game's tonight?
Tonight.
Or, excuse me, tomorrow? I'm just asking.
Tonight.
10:15.
That's what I thought. But then when I said
game.
tonight, everyone said tonight like I was wrong. But then I just realized that you were agreeing with me. All right. They play tonight. You know what they say about big-time football programs? They play on Friday nights. All right. Cincinnati, 2-2 versus BYU, 3-1. I'm going to take BYU because they're just the better football team. Simple as that.
I feel like I've been attacked.
Why is that?
I feel like I've been attacked all show.
Yeah,
Why is that?
I don't know. That was
Great question, Sean. It's a great question. I love their quarterback. He decides he's not going to play. You know, the line still is in favor of BYU. I think people think that UC. I don't know. I don't give a damn, to be honest with you. I'm more focused on the Ryder Cup right now, to be honest. John Rahm misses his putt, by the way.
Spread.
Americans have life. Can Scotty Scheffler bury a putt for the first time in his career when it matters the most?
I'm going to take the University of Cincinnati.
Me too, I guess. Yeah, I don't know why Trace took a dig at old UC there.
I didn't take a dig.
You said that's what big time. That's what big time programs do. They play on Friday night.
I was
taking
making fun of
UC.
Elliott because he said he was over there suggesting that the Duke's Mayo Bowl was beneath the Bearcats, and I think that's a little ridiculous.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl should be beneath everybody
Come on.
who plays professional
All
or
right, well,
collegiate sports.
do me a favor then.
Yeah.
Please do me a favor before we get to our next pick. Or well, you know what? In the middle of it, just interrupt me.
I'm going Bears.
Please go back, Elliott, and find me
You
all the
put it on
participants in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, please, in the last couple years.
I mean,
All right,
okay.
let's go to the next game. How about that?
Yeah, next game.
Next game.
USC v. Colorado. I think USC is going to give Colorado continue to give them a taste of their own medicine. The one thing Colorado's not going to get anymore is any kind of sympathy, the way that they obviously kind of go about their business. And there's no problem with the way Colorado goes about their business, by the way. It's just that you're not going to get you're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore. That's not happening. So USC, they got the best player in the country. I'm going to go with the Trojans.
Yeah, as much as I would like to put UC's ex-girlfriend, Deion Sanders, to get a cover here. I'm just going to have to go with I'm going to go with Southern Cal. I'm going to go Caleb Williams, who's going to be a Chicago Bear next year.
I'm going to take USC. I'm going to take USC respectfully to Colorado. They don't have a chance.
I'm gonna take Colorado. I'm gonna take Colorado. I think that hook has a lot to do with it for me.
You don't come into Boulder, Colorado at 12 o'clock noon on a Saturday and win a game by more than 21.5 points.
Damn right.
For their third college game
Coach
day
Prime
of the season.
covers.
Prime.
They lose by 2 touchdowns.
Their third college game day of the year. I have the past results for the Duke Mayo Bowl, if you want to hear some of them.
Yeah, just give me some of the names.
Maryland versus North Carolina State, 16-12, that final. South Carolina taking on North Carolina,
Yeah.
38-21. Wisconsin versus Wake Forest.
Wisconsin, a program that somebody just left to go to.
Kentucky versus Virginia Tech, Virginia, South Carolina, Wake Forest, Texas A&M, Virginia Tech, Arkansas. If I'm going to be honest, not a lot of good teams.
I mean, those are decent programs. They're not horrible. Not great.
Next game.
Next game, we got Ole Miss versus LSU.
All right. This one's tough. I don't know if I really like either one of these teams, if we're being honest, but I hate this game. I'm going to go with LSU, though, because usually Ole Miss are just frauds. They always find a way to lose 4 games a year, Ole Miss does, and this seems like one of them.
Yeah, someone's put out a piece of cheese on a trap, and this seems like a trap. But I'm you know me, I'm a mouse. I'm just gonna gobble up that cheese and give me LSU cover in here. Jackson Fart sucks. Brian Kelly is the second most intimidating Notre Dame coach of the past 100 years. Lou Holtz, of course, being number 1, still at his ripe age of 90. He looks spry, but yeah, give me Brian Kelly and the Tigers.
I'll take Brian Kelly and the Tigers as well.
I'm gonna just zag again. I'm gonna bet on.
Casey's a Jackson Fart believer.
I'm a believer, I guess. I'm gonna take Ole Miss.
I'm going LSU. Ole Miss never wins big games, it feels like.
Yep. They really don't. They really don't. They're like the Notre Dame of the South. Utah v. Oregon State. It's at Oregon State. I kind of scratched my head over this season when I seen Oregon State was ranked. Didn't make a whole lot of sense. So I think I'm in a position where I'm going against my own logic of going with the better program. But the fact it's only 4.5 and Oregon State is favored makes me really just confused. So I kind of just go with my confusion most of the time. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go with Oregon State. No idea why.
Let's go Utes.
Oh, you're going Utes.
We're going Utes.
It's a Saturday in fall, early fall. Beavers always win on Saturdays. Go Oregon State. Roll Beavs.
I'm gonna take Utah on this one. I think they.
Let's go Utes.
I think they're just underrated because they're a Pac-12 team.
Let's go Utes.
Reed said Beavers always win on Saturdays. Well, too bad the game's on a Friday. I'm still going to take the Beavers. Because of what Trey said, why is the spread -4.5? That just don't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm just feeding my own brain. Doesn't make any sense. I don't really like it. If I was just basically a person that looked at the spreads and was like, wow, this seems like an easy one, Utah. Then it never goes that way. Live coverage. Wyndham Clark to tie the hole. He's got to have it, and he misses it because you just can't get out of your own way. 5-foot putt. It's just it's tough. It's tough scene right now if you're an American golf fan. Broncos v. Bears. What a battle of the
America's
juggernauts.
game of the week.
What a battle this is. This game will be seen probably by many on the Red Zone channel, and that's about it.
It is being shown to 90% of the country. I just saw a graph the other day. You know, they picked it out.
Yeah.
90% of the country is getting Broncos Bears.
Love that. That's what you call the NFL maybe just trying to force people to buy the Sunday ticket. Seems like a good idea to me. You think you're going to get by and get big games on the local channels? Wait until Roger Goodell gets a hold of that. Yeah, have fun. You don't want to buy the Sunday ticket, you get to watch the Bears and the Broncos, baby. You enjoy that. I won't be watching it. But I'll ride. Let's ride.
Oh.
I'll take them. Give me the Broncos.
Here's the thing. I think the Broncos are better. They're better than the Bears, but the Bears are the most catastrophic team in the National Football League. This is the Caleb Williams Bowl. This is the bowl. Whoever loses this game is going to get Caleb Williams, at least going to get the number 1 pick. It is for that reason that I think the Bears will win, because that would be something that a smart team would do, would lose this game, start 0-4, get on the track to get Caleb Williams. But no, they're going to come back and they're going to win this one to be 1-3, and they'll end up winning 3 games this year and not get the number 1 seed.
My logic is similar to Reed. I think the Broncos are significantly better than the Bears, but the Bears, I just think, I don't know. There's something about the Bears where they just are just such a pitiful, disgraceful franchise organization where they're going to go in this game with the most fire they've had all year and they'll win it. So I'll go Chicago.
Yeah, I think the Bears franchise is really bad, guys. Abysmal. And I think the Broncos, if you just take away the Dolphins game, they played 2 really close games. So I'm going to take the Broncos winning by a touchdown, because the Bears have lost by more than 2 scores so far in every game.
I'm going to take the Bears simply because they're at home. But one thing about the Bears, they got not just one chance to get the first pick. They got 2, because they got the Carolina Panthers and pick next year too, and they're 0-3 as well. So.
Oh.
Back-to-back 1 and 2.
Get a franchise quarterback. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe they'll trade back again. Bengals v. Titans. Simply put, I'll be a contrarian just because I can. Bengals win on a last-second field goal, win by 1. Titans cover.
Yeah, what are we doing here? Who day?
I agree with Reederoo. I think the Bengals are better. So, certainly better than 2. So I think the Bengals win this game. I'm going to say they win it by 10 points. It's going to be the coming out party for the offense. I would predict that the Bengals score 31 points in this game.
Nice.
31 points. Boots in the ground.
I'll have boots on ground. I'll have boots on the ground, baby. I'll have them on the ground. DM me if you want to.
On the ground. Reed will be there. Have you seen a sporting event this season live where your team has won?
Me?
Yeah.
Who? Me? Yeah. We were in Wrigley Field.
Oh, that's
together.
right, for the murder. Never mind. Sean, back to you.
I hate this, but I'm going to go Bengals.
Yeah, I'm also going Bengals too. I think that this is the get-right game. If they can't unlock this passing attack against this secondary, it's going to be a long season.
I can't believe Mike Vrabel has this bad of a defense.
It's not good.
Yeah. It's not like him.
You all right, Trace? Trace is head deep. And listen, Americans don't win over in Europe unless the world's fate is at hand.
I don't know. Jordan Spieth just hit on 18, one in the water. So it's all down to Justin Thomas, the guy that literally nobody wanted on this team.
Captain America.
Justin Thomas,
I
we
thought
got to give him
Patrick Reed was
credit.
Captain America.
If Justin Thomas is able to have this hole now, to be honest with you,
He was.
then at this point, here we are.
Patrick
Reed was Captain America. Yeah.
Patrick Reed was?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I thought that Justin Thomas was.
But JT and Jordan Spieth have been kind of America's little duo for a while. And John Rahm's chipped in, by the way, 3 times today, so congratulations to him. I don't know. Do you wake up tomorrow and watch this or not? Probably not. Falcons v. Jaguars. I am going to take the Falcons based off the fact that I don't believe in the Jags more than anything. So I'm not believing the Falcons like Casey, but I definitely don't believe in the Jags. So I am going to take the Falcons. I think the Falcons win. Don't even need the points.
Ooh. Sounds like a believer to me.
Jaguars.
That was a good bit. That was a great bit there. I think the Falcons are one of the worst teams in the history of the sport. I think Desmond Ridder is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I think Jake Browning might act. You know what, Trace? I'll give you that one. Jake Browning's better than Ridder. I'll give you that. So I will take the Jaguars -3. I might do alternate line -15.5 because I truly believe the Falcons are disgusting. So Jaguars win, bounce back, get right game for the Jags.
You would just be wrong, Elliot. The Falcons, this is their get right game. Jaguars are still struggling to get pressure. That means Desmond Ridder is going to have time in the pocket.
Oh, boy.
Unlike the last 3 weeks.
Desmond Ridder has
and
time.
he's going to be able to
might get up to 175.
game manage. He's had over 175 for like 2 or 3 weeks now. So congrats on that
He's
one.
going to get over 2,500.
He's going to get over 2,500. That's for sure.
What a high bar.
And the Jags defense is just not very good. Simple as that right now. It's just not very good. So I think the Falcons, with their underrated defense, take care of business. Get the win.
I'm going with the Jags. I think they bounce back. But they're not as bad as they've looked.
All right.
This is a humongous pitch shot.
Is this game being played in England?
From
I think.
Justin Thomas.
I think
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
9:30 kick.
My favorite thing about the National Football League is that we put our best product out. We show Europeans, we show Great Britain, the UK. We say, hey, this is our favorite sport over in America. We're going to show you the NFL. We're going to play a game in front of you guys. And every single year, we send the Jacksonville Jaguars over there. Every single year. No team. I think there's been 3 teams that have been over there more than like once, more
It's a
than
home
twice.
game for 'em.
The Jacksonville Jaguars have played in the UK 9 times. 9 times. Like 28 of the other
Europe's
32
team.
franchise have only played there twice. Is it because they make Jaguars in England? I don't get it. Like why the Jags? I don't get it.
They're Europe's team. I don't understand it, but it is fun to watch. There's nothing worse than having your team play in that game, but there's nothing better than having that game available to you. It's just a little morning. It's a breakfast game. I love a good breakfast game in the NFL. So you get a breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the NFL on Sunday. That's
They
the best day of
honestly,
the year.
I love when they have a breakfast game.
Yeah.
Because it's nice waking up. It's like a premature primetime game.
Yeah.
I would love if they did that every week, except for if they picked the Bengals to play. Like
that's
your
right,
team playing at 9 a.m. would be terrible.
I remember watching the Bengals versus, at the time, Redskins, now Commanders.
Oh, wow.
It was the worst. It was the
Wow.
worst football game I've ever seen. I think Andy Dalton and I think Kirk Cousins threw like 16 straight interceptions back and forth, and they went all the way. It went to overtime, and then I think they tied it after a couple missed field goals by both kickers.
They were jet lagged.
Huh?
Jet lag.
Jet lag could be true, but it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. Next game.
Justin Thomas just slipped out a chip. He has a very, very good birdie chance, so he might just save the day. Who knew? Justin Thomas, the guy that the Americans all needed. I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think that they're a pretty damn good team. Bills are a good team too, though. So this is a great game. Really good game. It is interesting. Buffalo's favored, and I think Buffalo is probably the play if you're a gambling man. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is just a reminder that the Bills are pretty damn good. I know they got their ass kicked by the Bengals last year in the postseason and played one of the most exciting games against the Chiefs a couple years ago in the postseason. But they're pretty damn good. They're Super Bowl contenders for a reason. Give me the Bills.
Trace just said it. For my logic, for me, I think the Dolphins are better. I think they've been playing better this season. For that reason, and for that reason alone, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills just because I think it's the right play from a gambling standpoint. I think the Sharps will be on Buffalo. -2.5. Go Bills.
I'm just doing a quick look at the injury report before I have this take. Yeah, I'm confident with this. I think I think Miami gets it done. With the Bills without Von Miller, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep this game close. So it's going to be a shootout. It's going to get up real high. I think each team's going to score 30 points, but I think Miami has enough in the tank. The ammunition there is just out of this world. So, yeah, take
fair.
Miami.
Yeah, the Bills beat up on a couple bad opponents, as they always do, and now they're playing the 3-0 Dolphins, and I think the Dolphins get it done.
Good stuff. Last game.
I'm dead inside, guys.
Why? What happened?
Victor Hovland just
Victor Hovland just made like a 17-foot putt, and now Thomas with his birdie putt, who should have been a chance to win the match, is now got to make that probably 6 or 7 footer just a tie.
I got a question for this game. Our picks are already up there. As a
Browns.
Bengals fan,
I'm
who
dead.
would you rather win this game?
Ravens.
I agree.
I don't want the Browns to ever feel fun.
Justin
I don't
Thomas
want
steps
them
up
to
to
ever
his
feel-
putt.
That's fair.
7-footer to at least save the Ryder Cup. He misses this, the Ryder Cup's over. It looks like a little right to left, about 7 foot.
Yeah, I have to agree, guys. I really don't want the Browns to win this because the Bengals struggle against the Browns mightily. So, yeah, I'm going to hopeful that the Browns don't cover, but I feel like they will because the Ravens are just banged up right
They're
now.
very banged. I forgot about all their injuries when I made this pick. I want to switch over to the Browns, but I'm not a coward. I'm not cowardly. I've never been a
Not
coward.
coward?
I'll fight Lou Holtz tonight if he wants to fight.
Lou Holtz?
Give me the Ravens.
The Browns lose to everybody in the AFC North except the Bengals, so the Ravens are going to win.
Nice. That's a good point. The
like
Browns
that.
are just a terrible
like that.
franchise. Terrible.
Are the Browns going to get credit from you guys if they win this game? Just curious.
Sure.
What
Yes.
point? When do you?
I already gave him credit.
We
already gave them credit this
Yes,
week.
we already gave him credit.
My question is, when do you take them actually seriously?
I'm
We just
already
did.
taking
We
him
did
serious.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're already there?
Yeah, we're already
All
there.
right, cool. I was just curious.
What's
I'll take
funny?
them serious when they play teams that aren't in the AFC North except the Bengals.
Love that Spur. You know what's funny about Browns fans is in some Ohio State fans from this area might not realize this. I have a bunch of friends that are Ohio State fans and Browns fans from Northern Ohio. They love the Browns way more than they love Ohio State. I'm speaking only from like my 5 or 6 friends that this happens for, which is just crazy to me that one team has brought them nothing but despair and agony, and they love that team over the other team that has brought them nothing but joy. Nothing but joy from the Ohio State Buckeyes and nothing but despair from the Browns, and they like the Browns more. That's crazy to me. I digress.
It's fair. Does that do it for the picks?
Not
That
quite.
doesn't-
We got our favorite segment. It's high school football pick'em. High school picks have founded. They've been the cement stone that have locked in Chatterbox Sports. We started with high school sports, and now we got all the way up to here with Thom Brennaman and Off the Bench. These are the most important picks of the week. This is what Chatterbox Sports has been built on. Record from last week. Reed went 5-0 last week. Reed went 5-0. Everybody else went 4-1. Pretty good. Pretty good week. It was a pretty good week. So, again, Sean, you're new to this. I'm not going to even keep your scores. I'm going to be honest with you. But the loser of this, Sean, this is the best part. The loser gets fired. He loses his livelihood. He loses his insurance. He loses his house. He loses his car. He loses his wife. It's like every country song ever. You're going to lose it all. All right? That's what happens when you lose high school pick'em, the most important pick'em this side of the Mississippi. All right, here we go. First up, we got Moeller taking on Elder at the pit. At the pit. I've watched Moeller all season long, and I say this with love, and I say this with respect. They aren't very good. I'm going to take Elder. Elder minus 14.5. If that's a spread that McNeil guy brought out, that's great. I don't know if it is or not. Elder wins this game at the pit.
Moeller has a proud Hamiltonian as their starting quarterback, Matt Ponatowski.
Is that why they've sucked all season? Go ahead, sorry.
Man, I mean, just hating on a 15-year-old kid. That's tough. That's a tough look for old Elliott, but I still love Elliott. I still love Mouse Cop. I still love all the Fighting Altioras in the world. Give me Elder winning at the pit.
Yeah!
Woo!
Panther roar.
Roar.
Trace. Moeller Elder.
Elder. What do you guys got?
Ooh,
I'm going Moeller.
All right, again, I'm not keeping your
The mighty
pitch,
men
Sean.
of Moeller.
I'm gonna go Moeller too. This is where I'm gonna extend my lead a little
Great.
bit.
Good for you guys. Hope you lose. All right. Next up, we have another thriller. We got Scott at Boone County. We're heading to the great state of Kentucky for Scott at Boone County. Again, high school sports pick'em is the most important pick'em we do on this show. Scott at Boone County. Reed.
Boone County Distillery is the official sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. For that reason, I'm taking Scott.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to take Boone County. I'm sure they got a great program this year over in Kentucky. I don't give a damn. Anybody else?
Scott, I assume it's pretty tough to play against a team that has a talent pool of an entire county. So I'm going to take Boone County for that reason.
That's right, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Boone County as well.
Sean?
Boone County.
Okay, here we go. This is another going Wilmington at Batavia.
Ooh.
Wilmington at Batavia. I'm going to go Batavia. I'm going to take the home dogs here. I think they're underdogs. I'm going to go with Wilmington. Who did I say? Batavia. Sure. Batavia.
Elliot, here's a crisp $5 bill. If you can name me either one of those high school's mascots, I'll give you $5.
You ready for this?
It can't be Batavia.
Oh, then no. I'm done. Okay. All right.
Who is it? What's their name?
I didn't know. I was bluffing.
All right, come on.
Wildcats.
Nope. Batavia Bulldogs, Wilmington Hurricanes. Give me the Wilmington Hurricanes. Trace, who do you got?
Wilmington, Batavia.
Trace.
We're dead.
Trace.
Wilmington.
Literally, why do you get worked up? They always lose.
I just wanted to watch meaningful golf this weekend, and we can't even get through the first day. Zach Johnson, just the first day. Just let me wake up tomorrow morning and have something to watch that I care about. Instead, we go out here and we get blistered because we got Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, who played well, Jordan Spieth. No, don't pick guys that are hot. Don't do that. Just pick a bunch of your friends. Anyways.
Casey, Wilmington, Batavia.
I'm going to take Wilmington.
Sean?
Batavia.
There we go. Sean and I
Go
right
Bulldogs.
All right, next one up. We got the two. It's America's game of the week here in Cincinnati. It is Lockland taking on New Miami. Not old Miami. These guys are new. New Miami. I'm going to take Lockland. I've seen New Miami's facilities. I'm not going to lie. It looks like a tornado hit. It looks like the remnants of Katrina. And that's with love and respect to New Miami, but they're not very good, and they play in a dumpster. That's love and respect, of course. I'm going to take, what did I say? Lockland.
Don't you punch down on the Village.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like joking around and stuff like this, but that was mean. That was mean spirited. That was
nothing meaner than having high school kids play on that monstrosity of a field. But go ahead.
God.
Lockland or whatever I said. New Miami.
God, I'm shook over here. That actually made me sad. Give me. It's called the Lockland split. Is going to be the joke. Sure, you can make a punchline yourself. The Lockland.
Lockland, great.
I'll take Lockland.
I see this trend.
Yeah, I'm taking Lockland.
That was so mean.
Sean?
I'll go Lockland.
All right. And finally, thank God, it is Mississippi Valley at East Clinton. I've never heard of this place in my entire life. Is this a real place?
Yes.
Mississippi Valley? It's a lot of S's in there. A lot of S's. Mississippi Valley at East Clinton.
Missinawa is how you pronounce it.
Mississippi.
I covered them back when I worked up at Van Wert. East Clinton. I don't know. East Clinton, sure.
I'll take Mississippi.
Mississippi.
I just looked up Mississippi, and they've only scored 40 points out of 6 games, so I'm not taking Mississippi. I'm going to take East Clinton.
Did
got that
Did you
Bengals
look up
offense.
East Clinton?
I mean,
Let's look up East Clinton's real quick.
Yeah.
108. That's a bit better than 40.
All right, I'm switching
I'll
my
go
pick.
East Clinton.
I'm switching my pick. That was a great stat. I'm going to East Clinton. I'm going to East Clinton. Trace, would you like to go to East Clinton with me?
No, I could care less.
All right, same. Okay, that was it. All right, loser of that gets fired. Loser of that segment gets fired, and that's great. Trace, we have a Ryder Cup update.
It's not good.
Not good?
No, John Rahm and Victor Hovland just carried the Europeans to they just basically gave them a full point. Fortunately, here's the situation. If you're not watching Ryder Cup right now, the United States are on hole 18 again. Remember what I said about those 2 matches where the U.S. could possibly take 2 of them? They're going to have to birdie because John Rahm just threw in a dart. Now Brooks Koepka did just step up and throw a dart in there, so it's looking all right. All right, we're back. Congratulations to Brooks Koepka. Just hit a great shot. Okay, so it's time of the show where we have to go our separate ways. Before we do, what did I forget?
Do we have a cherry on top? Do we?
No, I don't think we have a cherry on top. The cherry on top is the Ryder Cup. Shout out UDF. Ryder Cup, the biggest match in golf.
Reminder, I won't be on the show next week because you guys got 100 likes. So thank you for that. For $500, I'm homeless. So think
Just
about
remember, 500. That's all.
$500, and I lose
500.
my job. I mean, there's 2 ways I lose my job. Either you pay $500 or I lose the high school pick'em.
That's right.
And I'll be living in New Miami.
Great town.
Man, we need to get off this show. It's been off the rails already. It actually was a good show, then it was a bad show, then it was a good show again.
I think it was just a good show.
Yeah, I think it was just a good show,
Can you
man.
compliment our
That was
show?
kinda
Yeah.
Can you compliment our show?
Can you just be
We need
positive?
more
Good show. It was a
positivity
good.
from
Listen,
you.
it was a good show. It was a bad show. It was a good show again.
When was the bad show? When was the bad show?
Kind of like the Bengals defense.
What was the bad show portion? I'd like,
What was the bad
What was the bad
portion
show?
of
'Cause I think
bad
it was all
show?
good. I genuinely
The
think
bad show portion was when we just had to mutter through that high school pick'em that no one gave a shit about.
It's Chatterbox was founded on high school
Correct.
sports. I don't know what are we
Talking
talking about.
What are you talking about?
I mean, do you even care?
I think the Ryder Cup updates.
And I think we get fired if we lose that. So I think it's kind of important.
Why don't
Trace.
you shake the hand that feeds you? I mean, this is
We're
high school
thinking
sports is
Boone
everything.
County versus who was it?
What was that?
Scott.
They
Whoa,
make
whoa,
a
whoa.
good grass seed, I hear. No free ads.
Hall of Famer from Boone County, Sean Alexander.
Wow.
Ever hear of
Should've
him?
known that.
Ever hear of him? My God. Have some respect for the great game of high school football.
All right. This show is sponsored by United Dairy Farmers. We do have a cherry on top. Casey, find that little clip and run it. Run it.
Run
the cherry on top.
Okay,
Let's go.
okay.
Come on.
Oh, well,
Here it is.
you said run the
And
clip. That's not a.
Well, whatever, Stinger. My bad. I was a little off on my words. All right, this is United Dairy Farmers. Cherry on top. Brought to you by me. Listen,
Ooh.
you can think I'm a troll. You can say I'm poking the bear. Say whatever you want. All I'm suggesting is that you rally around your guy. You rally around your backup. Stop calling him a bum. Stop saying he's worthless. Stop saying he couldn't score 3 points against the Browns. Stop saying he couldn't score 17 against the Ravens, who the Colts just beat without a quarterback. Stop saying he couldn't rally around and get whatever it was, 19 points against the Rams. Stop doing that. Believe in him. He can do it. He's in the NFL. He's not Elliott. He's got a chance. We do this show every single day, Monday through Friday, from 10
Hey!
to 12
P.
which means we will not be on air until Monday. There's a lot of sports that happen between now and then. We'll talk about all of it when we get back Monday. We hope to see you. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your weekend.
Randy, Mark, Mr. Mo, Chat Power Rankings.
Go to America.